Okay, so this video I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into some of these advanced settings. A note of caution: if you have no idea what some of these mean, do not do not start changing them until you read this guide. This guide is actually going to show you everything you need to know about some of these settings. So I'm going to speed through them real quick, but if you have more I guess more detailed questions about some of these, go ahead and just message us and we'll get back with you personally. But I'm just going to speed through some of these just to kind of get you familiar with what we're trying to do with some of these settings, because we added some different risk managements and some risk rewards and stuff like that. And we're planning on adding in more, depending on what kind of feedback that we get. Yeah, I guess depending on what kind of feedback we get, we're gonna add more kind of risk management and a couple other things that we've been thinking about. So with that being said, let's start on the very first thing, which is I guess we said the concept of it. So the concept is this links over to the EFC indicator, and if you ever need to visualize, look no more than just grabbing that EFC indicator if you haven't already. I know most of you already do. Most of you already do have the EFC indicator. If you don't, it'll be very, very simple for you because it's actually going to show you via the colors of the colors of the candles. They're going to actually notify you, and they're going to show you exactly what's happening with the trade, instead of you just seeing it taking trades, buy, sell, and stuff like that. So that's also something that you could consider getting. So the strategy parameters is, let's just start off with the first one, which is actually let's start at the very top, which is the unique identifier. This is very important. The unique identifier is going to be, as me said, as default as 243, and if you want to run the euro dollar on, if you want to run the same chart with same different time frames, we recommend, say you have the euro dollar hourly chart here, and then you have another chart running with a 30-minute chart or something like that. Make sure you change this EA identifier to a different number, whatever it is, just because what might happen is they might start contradicting each other, and they might start taking um, uh, different trades, or the same trades. So what you want to do is just change that identifier. If all else fails, just change it every time. You don't need to, per se, but the only issue that ever comes about is whenever you have it on the same pair. That's whenever we're starting to see some issues. So just change that. If you're running the robot, you should only be running it on one time frame, but if you want to run on a bunch of time frames, just go ahead and change that that identifier. That'll the worst case scenario is, well, there isn't really worst case if you change it. But yeah, just make sure you change that if you're running on the same. Okay, so let's go to the working time frame. So what this is you can change it to whatever time frame that you specifically want the robot to run on. So if you want it to specifically run on the minute chart, you can set the minute or 5, 15, and so on and so forth. Or you can just keep it on current. And so whatever time frame you have up is the time frame that the robot will run on. So that's really cool. So you don't have to keep changing it. So I like the current because I like going around with different charts and stuff like that. So you can keep it on current if you want that. RSI period, that's based on the strategy. You always keep that at 8. So I mean, we can even explain that. RSI is applied over bought oversold levels, and you can see those two here. And the let's say, so the parameters, so the 0 to the 24, basically what that means is it's allowing it to trade at the very beginning of the day to, it's basically army time, is very beginning of the day to the very end of the day, and that's 24-hour period. Obviously the market's going to be closed on the weekend, so it's not going to run on the weekends, but it'll once the markets kick back on, your robot will start up again, and it'll start taking those trades whenever the market opens up. So you can leave that on 0 to 24. If you only want to trade I mean, it depends on your what time. Depending on what time you like to trade, you can just keep that. You keep that to 0 to 24, or you can just limit it to whatever specific time you want that to run on. Okay, the buy and sellers allowed. All that is just you can allow the robot to buy, or you can allow it to sell, or you can just turn it off completely. Turn one of them off. You turn both off, and that's never even going to trade. So what this is there's going to be uh, so if you don't want it to be trading in the opposite directions. So basically what that is if it took a trade here to sell, and then it came here, but then it right here, um, say right here it triggered a buy for some reason. It triggered a buy. So what that would do is this one would be closed. That would be closed out, and this one would be open, the buy. But if you don't want that, just keep it on false. You keep it on false, you keep it on true. So you can turn that on or off depending on what you desire there. Default obviously is at false, but you can turn that on. Turn that on if you like. The stop loss offset points is at 0. So this is how the standard stop loss is calculated. So this will show you exactly how it's calculated. It's based off of the highest price that the overbought oversold level is. So this is the highest price. This is actually a sell signal. So this is what a stop loss will be. And then if you want to offset it, it'll actually bump that stop loss up to however many ticks. This is actually points, so you always want to be aware of that. It's not actually pips, it's points, so you want to add that extra 0 and so on and so forth when you're doing that. And then this will just show you the minimal stop loss value. So you want to keep that at 100. If so, that's actually those points again. The break-even points, that's set at 0. 0 is disabled. And basically what this is, the value of break-even when the stop loss must be moved to an opened price. So by default, this feature is disabled. So if you want the stop loss to be moved to the open price, then you can change that to on, but that as default, this specific setting is turned off. So if you want to turn that on, you just turn it to, instead of 0, you just put a 1 on that. That's not really a major setting. It's going to be more the advanced traders that would actually use that, but we throw that in there. So the take profit calculation mode, the first one is the risk reward. The first trade is risk reward of 1 to, so it's 1 to 1.5. So what we did is we actually added an additional entry. This is what you're going to notice whenever it triggers. Let me pause this real quick and let me find a trade. Okay, so I found a trade here. So what I did is I put this on the chart. So basically this is a setup. This is a EFC RSI 80/20 reversal setup. So what you see here is the sell stop. So this will be when it'll actually take 2 trades. It'll take a sell. This is where the sell stop is located. So it's going to take 2 trades. The first trade, the take profit, will be right here, and then the second trade, the take profit, will be here. So that's kind of the money management. That's kind of the strategy that we're testing. That's what we set actually as a default, because that's what we found most profitable at this point. But we're going to be tweaking. We're going to be tweaking this a lot. Basically, we're going to be trying to bring the stop loss down and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, this additional trade here is very interesting because that actually locks in some profit for you. And then what you can be doing is bringing this stop loss down as the trade's going, and you just continue to lock in profits until you end up hitting here the 1 to 3 risk reward ratio. So yeah, that's actually really interesting. So that is what that setting was actually what you saw. Let me pull that back up. Okay, so that's actually what you saw here. All right, so I guess we can just continue going on with these settings. So that is the very first trade, the very first trade. So you see, so that's one, so that's a half. That's actually set at a half. So the risk reward was a half, and then the second one will actually be 3. It's actually at 2 right now. I'm not sure why, but actually second one will be at 3, and then that'll be this one right here. So the first trade number 1, trade number 2. You're stacking on the trades. So the strategy allows you to set 2 orders, each signal separately. And then this is going to tell you about the color, the stop losses. It's going to tell you everything like that. Stop, sell stop, buy stop, stuff like that. The money management part. This is the advanced part of it. The lots that are associated with this. So lots more amount of 1 will be set at 0.1. And then a lot at 0.2, but you can adjust both of these. You can adjust them according to your strategy, according to your risk management. But yeah, it can open up 2. Let's see, it can open up 2 orders. Can be used different take profits and aim as the volume. If you're not willing to use both orders, you can set volume, any of them, to 0, but not both of them. So obviously you don't want to set them both. So yeah, you can set those to 0, and it just won't take that trade. So that's how you have. If you don't want to take that additional trade, if you don't want to take that, you can just set that. You just don't have to. You don't have to take it, I guess, is what we're saying. Is what we're saying there. So that's really good. But that's a nice little interesting money management strategy. So you can test it, you can take it off, you can keep it on. But we found it was actually working really well. The profit capitalization, when checked, the initial loss will be corrected according to the profit achieved. So this is another one of those advanced money management strategies. So this is, for example, the balance associated with specific lots. The dollar amount it is required to set the initial deposit, which is associated with specified lot amount. And for example, the deposit is a $10,000. The deposit is $10,000, and the initial lot amount is equal to 1. And then one deposit becomes then 11,000, and so on and so forth. If that makes sense, just this is a lot of these settings are very. They take a lot of. They're very detailed. But basically what that does is it keeps adding to it. It keeps adding to the position size. And then obviously the last little bit we got here is the notifications. You can be alerted on and off, depending on the down arrows or the sell signals, stuff like that. So the notifications are good. So that's the very general, I guess, video for these settings. Like I said, I could go more into these that added to the lot amounts and to this associated balance, stuff like that. But these are for more. We're thinking this is more of for an advanced method. And if you're not really knowing exactly what's going on here, then I wouldn't be bothering with it anyways. But you can just let us know, and we'll try to be a little more specific than this and what I'm actually talking about in the video itself here. But for now, that's just kind of a brief overview of all of these settings. And like I said, they're all adjustable, and we're adding in a lot more. We're adding in a lot more settings as we speak. So that's really great. So if you guys have any questions about these at all, please let us know. Hit us up in the members area or message our support team at info@tradingstrategyguys.com. All right, thanks.